All right, guys, so we're back with our second milestone review. This one is still on rational and irrational numbers. So question number 9 says, evaluate 9 square root of 9. So whenever we're evaluating, I'm looking at 9 and the square root of 9. Remember, square root is when you're looking for a number that is the same number. So when you multiply those two numbers together, you get whatever is under here. So I'm looking for a number, the same number that when I multiply by each other is going to give me 9. And that number is, of course, 3, because 3 times 3 is 9. So the square root of 9 is 3. So 9 times 3 is 27. And that's how we got 8. And for number 10, we're still dealing with square roots. So we have a fraction, but it's all under square roots. So we're doing them individually. The square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 16 is 4, because 4 times 4 is 16. So that's how we got 3 over 4. And number 11, what is the value of the cube root? So whenever you see this 3, that means it's a cube root, not a square root. And a cube root is saying what is a number that you multiply by each other 3 times, that's going to give you 64. And that number is 4. 4 times 4 times 4 is 64, because 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 is 64. So the cube root of 64 is 4. All right, so number 12 says, the predicted ticket sales for the opening weekend of 2 new movies are 1.8 times 10 to the power 7 tickets for movie Y, and 4.5 times 10 to the power 6 tickets for movie Z. According to the prediction, how many more tickets will be sold for movie Y than for movie Z? So we're dealing with scientific notation. And with scientific notation, we know that if the notation is positive, so that means you're moving to the right. If it's negative, you're moving to the left. So 1.8, as a scientific note, times 10 to the power of 7, I'm moving to the right 7 times. I'm moving my decimal place to the right 7 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you fill in your zeros. Okay? And then 4.5 times 10 to the power of 6. I'm doing the same thing, moving to the right 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fill in my zeros. Now from here on, how do I know to divide it? Because it says how many more tickets will be sold. So how many more is division. So that's how I know to divide. And then you can put both of these numbers in your calculator, or you can cancel out your zeros like this. And then you get 180 divided by 45, which is 4. All right? So that was dealing with scientific notation. All right, so we're still dealing with scientific notation for number 13. It says Pluto is about 6 times 10 to the power of 9 kilometers from the sun. Mars is about 2 times 10 to the power of 8 kilometers from the sun. What is the ratio? So whenever we're dealing with ratios, you can write ratios a couple of different ways. You can write it like this, or you can write it as division, okay? So I set it up as division, and when you simplify it, you get 3 over 1, and then you get 10 to the power of 9 over 10 to the power of 8. So whenever you're dealing with division and you have your base is the same, which means my 10 and my 10, they're the same, you subtract the exponent. So if it's division and the bases are the same, you subtract the exponent. And 9 minus 8 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 9 minus 8 is 1. So I have 3 times 10 to the power of 1, which is 30. And that's how I got 30 to the ratio of 1. So we're still dealing with scientific notation, which expression shows the product of 1.5 times 10 to the power of 6 and 12,000. So all this is saying This is multiplication because we know that product is multiplication. All right? So there's two ways you can do this. You can turn this into standard form, or you can turn this into scientific notation and multiply it that way. Let me turn this into scientific notation. So when you're turning a standard form into scientific notation, you're moving your decimal place until you get to a number that is less than 1. So I'm on 1. I'm sorry, that is greater than 1, but less than 10. So I got to 1.2, and then the amount of time I move back is going to tell me what my scientific notation is. So I'm going back 1, 2, 3, 4. So I went back 4 times. Okay, so I have 1.5 times 10 to the power of 6 times 1.2 times 10 to the power of 4. So I can just multiply 1.5 times 1.2, and then multiply 10 to the power of 6 times 10 to the power of 4. One point five times 1.2 is 1.8. And 10 to the power of 6 times 10 to the power of 4, when your bases are the same in multiplication, you add the exponents. So it'll be 6 plus 4, which is 10, so 10 to the power of 10. So that's how I got 1.8 times 10 to the power of 10, which is B. And 15 says simplify. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can do 4.3 divided by 8.6, or you can turn both of these into standard form. For me to turn this into standard form, it would be 4.3, and because it's 10 to the power of negative 2, I'm going to the left. I'm moving my decimal place to the left 2 times. So 1, 2. And then do the same thing for 8.6. Going to the left 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fill in my zeros. So I have 0.043 divided by 0.000086. I'm going to put that into my calculator and see what I get. And that gives me 500. We show the following is the best estimate of the square root of 160. So we're dealing with square root again. We know that square root, we're looking for a number that you multiply by each other. That's going to give you 160. Now the tail is best estimate because the number is not going to be a whole number. Okay? So it's going to be a decimal, and they're asking you, what is that decimal going to be between? Which true number are they going to be between? Okay? So you just kind of play around with this. You can say, so I can do 11 times 11, which is, should be 121. 12 times 12 is 144. 13 times 13 is 169, if I'm correct. So 160 is between 144 and 169. So that means the square root of 160 is between 12 and 13, which is how we got B. What is 0.727272 written as a fraction? So when we're turning fractions when we're turning repeating decimal, because this is a repeating decimal, into fractions, remember we write it as the fraction of 0.72 repeating. And then you're going to multiply both sides by the amount of digits repeating, which is 2. 1, 2. So you're going to multiply both sides by 100. So it'll be 100 F equals this multiplied by 100. The decimal place is going to move to the right 2 times. So it'll be 72 point. Because this is a repeating decimal, that 72 is still repeating. And then you're going to subtract both sides by F. On the left side, you're just subtracting by F. On the right side, you're subtracting by the value of F, which is 0.72. Repeating. So you're going to have 100 minus F is 99F equals 72.72 minus 0.72 will be just 72. And they're going to divide both sides by 99. F equals 72 over 99. So my fraction is 72 over 99. All right. So that's it for our Milestone Review 2.